All right, we are remote on the left side of class today. We're going to start off with this scenario, with this example. I need to stop with my announcer voice. I need to go with my Delvin voice. It's hard to bring the overhead projector down, up and down, and use the board. So what we'll do is we'll set up the example, pause it, take a picture of it, establish all of the things that you've been taught over the past couple of weeks. And then when we go to the board, we'll talk about scenarios. Today's lecture is really hopefully going to be putting a bow on the process. We're going to practice. What's that? Therapy, Brian, big therapy. All right. Where was I at? this is why I have rules. Oh, all right. Earth cooled dinosaurs came. Cookie Monster. So let's establish the external force. Guys, if you have to, I have no problem with you have to, but just do it before. Come early. Take care of your business early. So that way, when we start on time, we start on time. Can you imagine if you had a job interview that started at 7:30 and you came in 3 minutes late and you were like, well, I had to, it's all about preparing, being prepared. Okay. No excuses for not being on time. All right, guys, here we go. These are some ways I can ask questions. First thing you want to do from that scenario, establish your agonist. Understanding the group of muscles you need because you understand why you need them. Okay? Today, what we're going to practice is how I can ask questions. And I want you to understand my mindset when I come up with answer choices. It's rinse, wash, and repeat. Meaning you should be able to practice creating questions for you to practice. So, we analyze motion joint by joint. This is a sagittal movement. Whatever's happening, it's sagittal, right? So we're looking at right and left lateral bending. We analyze muscles joint by joint. So if it's sagittal, we have muscles that pull right lateral. We have muscles that pull left lateral. I'm not looking at flexors, extensors. I'm not looking at right and left transverse. I've narrowed it down to two agonist possibilities. So on your answer choices, I'm literally going to say right lateral trunk bender. Obviously, I'd spell it out. Concentric, right lateral trunk benders, eccentric, left lateral trunk benders, concentric, left lateral trunk benders, eccentric. Now, you don't know the question yet. I'm just literally showing you how the cookies are made. I'm taking you in the kitchen and showing you how the cookie. It's really not a secret recipe. It's kind of a standard recipe. Make sense? So now let's go over some different kind of questions. I could give you information where you have to observe the motion. That's start finish. You have to observe it. You have to know, oh, from there to there is this motion. So practicing with our answers. If I tell you I go from left to right, you would observe right lateral trunk bending. True? So once you establish your agonist, who are my agonists? Dumbbells trying to bend me to the left. I need muscles that are trying to bend me to my right. My agonists are my right lateral trunk benders. If you observe right lateral trunk bending, bang, bang, which answer choice would be it? Right laterals through concentric. If I asked you to observe start to finish from right to left, same muscles, because the dumbbell's trying to do the same thing to you. But the motion you would observe is left lateral. eccentric. That's observing motion. It's no different than we did on the first two tests when you had to observe motion, start, finish, start, finish, start, finish. Another way I could ask these questions is if I give you motion. This is what really separates students that watch the videos, come to class, come to my office, ask Lindsay for help. This is where you guys are going to get a lot of them wrong. Right. This is where you guys are going to get a lot right. On the test, I might just give you emotion. I give it to you. It's gifted. Guys, you're doing this exercise and right lateral trunk bending happens. You're doing this exercise and you observe right lateral trunk bending. I'm telling you. You know this exercise is using right laterals. I'm going to give you the motion. Hey, what's happening when you see this? What's happening when you see that? I'm going to give it to you just to see if you know that this plus this can tell me this. That's the intent. So same questions, same setup, same examples. If you observe left lateral bending, I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You should know which one it is. You should know how I get to left lateral. You should know whether it's from left to right, right to left. You should know what left lateral bending is. It's just a motion. If you observe left lateral, that's going to be right lateral benders through eccentric contraction. One way to look at it is I'm having motion in the same direction as the external force, and there's no functional task to make it go fast. I'm not trying to squash a mosquito or go as fast as I can. I need my rights to let it go to the left and make it come to the right. That makes sense? So for all of these practices, and I'm about to pull Lindsay up because she has a really neat, consistent process that she uses. But for all these practices, to me, you could do it on your own, or you get a partner, and the partner doesn't even have to exist in person. You could email, text. But this is how I come up with answer choices. I just give you agonist and contraction. And if you think about it, if I have two different agonists and two different contraction, that's four different options. If you had two numbers and two letters, you have four options. A1, A2, B1, B2. Make sense? Lindsay, I'm showing you process. I like it because it's so, unfortunately, I don't follow structure very.
So it's kind of like this. We'll go like A plus B equals C.
Do you need some space? I can erase that. I know you like to go top.
So I like to do F and B, C. So F is just there to tell me what the external force is doing. What is the force doing? What is gravity trying to do? And in this picture, gravity is trying to right laterally bend every time.
Get it here.
Right. Am I crooked?
What's the thumbnail trying to do?
Oh, sorry. That's
okay.
I'm looking at it like this. It's
all good. All good. And it's been for.
Oh yeah.
You haven't been here for a while. It's not your fault.
Well, yeah. It's just the way I'm looking at it. Yeah. But no, it's trying to left laterally bend her. So the force is trying to left laterally bend. So you're gonna need right lateral benders. Trunk benders. We know that. And then now we have to just observe the motion, the body motion. So in this case, if we're going from left to right, start to finish, we're observing So we're observing, starting here, and then we're observing right lateral trunk bending. So if we find the agonist, and then we find the motion that's happening in the picture, and if they match, then it's going to be a concentric contraction. Now, if they don't match, if we went from right to left, then she would be left laterally bending. So we would have our body joint motion as left lateral bending.
Why don't you go ahead and put a separate column just to visually show the.
Okay. So the forces are still the same. In this picture, the forces are still the same. They're still trying to left laterally bend my trunk. And that means that if the forces are the same, the agonists are the same. So there's your muscles are still going to want to pull. You're going to want to use your right lateral benders. But the body joint motion is different. The joint motion is different. We're doing right to left. So the motion would be left lateral bending. So we put left lateral bending. That's what's happening. And then since they don't match, since they look weird, since they're odd, unique, different, they're different. That is eccentric. Eccentric is an odd one. So yeah, if they match, it's going to be concentric. But if they don't match, it's going to be eccentric.
Just that it's inconsistency. You're fine. So just remind, the force is trying to left laterally bend you, right? So this is a motion. Trying to do this. Your agonists are your right lateral benders, the muscles that are also trying to influence motion. The group that's on that do the job. Body joint motion is literally how are you moving or not moving, right? It's isometric motion. Muscles. You remember, muscles influence motion through contraction. It's just a different way of seeing it. I'm a left to right kind of person. Lindsay's an up and down kind of person. You might be an up down kind of person. And so that's why I wanted to do a few with her process, because there's, I think last semester there were a lot of students who resonated with the up down process. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. So again, I'm going to come over here to the side and we'll pull up a picture for everybody to see, pause it, analyze it, take a picture of it. It's always one of the things I like to do, analyze motion joint by joint. We want to establish, to me, what joint, like even, like it can be super simple, but just getting that first question answered can build your confidence. Okay? So this machine is looking at, or we're working knees, right? We're going to be moving our knees. We analyze things joint by joint. So this is a knee exercise. I'm going to give you guys time to see if you can practice coming up with 4 answer choices. Sat question, sagittal knee. What does the knee do? Flex, extend. So we got to have flexion pulls and extension pulls. Flexors concentric, flexors eccentric. Extensors concentric, extensors eccentric. Is that simple? Establish your agonist. And this is going to be an example of a question. Oh, we erased it, but it's okay. This is going to be an example of a question where we're going to give you motion, because there's only one picture here, right? It's just a position. So what we're going to say on the test is, okay, guys, you're doing this exercise. What happens during the flexion? things like, is extension when you go up, is flexion when you go down? That's something you need to know. That would be me taking the test. You have that knowledge. You know what that is. Make sense? So in other words, the scenario is set up isometrically, which we all love. We love when the elevators stop. We can establish that the cable's pulled up so that you don't fall down. And then all I'm saying is, okay, guys, from this position, the elevator goes up, concentric. From this position, the elevator goes down, eccentric. That's the elevator example. But you don't have to have a before and after to answer muscles, motion, and contraction. If you have two of the three, you figure it out. Give you a minute. I want you to give me all the scenarios. What happens during extension and what happens during flexion? Also, I will update the answer choices, and then when we're ready to go, I'll let Lindsay work it through. With the Lindsay Buller process, Lindsay Buller method. I like that. FABC. Find agonist. Be correct. It all starts with agonist. But that's why it's good to talk. So think of it like this. It's as a diagnosis. All good. All good. All good. All good. Guys, obviously on the test, I'm not going to abbreviate, but it just makes it easier for me. The next one, I'm not going to write the answer choices. You'll practice writing the answer choices. Certainly not that tough. But I wanted to explain it so they know, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Yes, you can. All right, here's the question. You're doing this exercise in the weight room, and you observe knee extension during this exercise. What is happening during the knee extension phase of this exercise? So you need to figure out the agonist. I'm giving you the motion, and with those two pieces of information, the contraction is total. Okay. Lindsay, let's work through.
Okay, so he gave us the motion already, so I put knee extension, that's what's happening, that's what he wants to do. So now I have to figure out what is the force trying to do to this person. So if you look at the machine, the pads on the machine, it's trying to extend your knees.
Sure.
So if it's trying to extend your knees, then you're gonna need knee flexors.
Sure. I like to think of silly things. If this person used the quads or the knee extensors, they would literally pull their foot in the bed. Literally yank it away. The one it can't be sometimes super obvious to help you see who you must be.
So, since we figured out the agonist, and we already know the body's on motion,
Sure.
you have knee flexors, and you're having knee extension. So since they're opposite, they don't match, they're not the same, it is an eccentric contraction.
And remember, guys, eccentric means weird. It doesn't match in different eccentric, I would match all the time, but that's where the work comes from. It's different, it's odd, it's not what you're expecting. The muscles pulling one way is responsible for motion in the other way. It's kind of weird. That's how it gets its name. Okay, Lindsay, what if we observe the flexion? Because obviously this exercise is going to fluctuate between knee flexion and knee extension, right? So let's talk about the flexion phase of this exercise.
So like you say, he gave us the body joint motion. So I'm gonna write that down. And then it's the same picture, it's the same dude, he's doing the same exercise. So the force is gonna be the same. That means the agonist is gonna be the same. So we know that the force is still gonna be knee extension. And the agonist is still gonna be, you're using knee flexors, you need knee flexors. And now they match. So you have flexors going into flexion, so you're gonna have a concentric contraction.
Absolutely. And on holidays and weekends. Absolutely. Any questions? And what if the dude is just holding the position? Isometric, the easiest one, right? I want to emphasize before we go on to our next one, is this helpful? Who prefer feedback? Who likes the up-down method? Awesome, awesome. What's cool is we're getting the same answers. It's just there's a lot of different ways to do it. Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller has one of the ugliest shots you've ever seen in your life and one of the greatest shooters of all time. It's okay. I don't know what that means, but he makes, all I want is consistent right answers. I don't care if you take the long way, the short way, the your way. If we're getting consistent right answers, that's what matters. I do want to emphasize, Campbell, why are you telling us deflexors? That's so cheesy. Why don't you just say hamstrings? And I'm going to tell you why. Because knee flexors as an agonist means as many muscles that pull that way. At the knee, you have 7 major knee flexion pullers. The hamstrings, the semimembranosus, tendinosus, and biceps femoris are just 3. But you have the sartorius, you have the gastrocnemius, you have the gracilis, you have the popliteus, and you have the semimembranosus, semitendinosus, and biceps femoris. There's a slew of them. So if you have a patient who has a problem with their sartorius, you got to know what it does. And what it does is how it pulls. So I understand why people say quads, hams, glutes. I get it. But we need to be beyond the glutes, the hams, the quads, the core, because there's a lot of other muscles that are involved in these influences, okay? That makes sense? All right, let's do another. Let's keep it rolling. Thank you, spell check. Like I always say, it's more important. It doesn't mean as much if you just memorize a bunch of muscles and you don't know what they do. It's more important to see agonists and then say, you can grok who those muscles are. You can Google who those muscles are. But it's more important to see who the muscles must be than to memorize a bunch of muscles and then you just play fast and loose. Now remember, we don't know the question yet, but we do know some things. There's some givens, which y'all remember in high school. Here's the givens, and then you got to solve for it. So that's what we want to do. We want to establish the givens, external forces, agonists, then we can play around with it. Okay, this time I'm not giving you the answer choices. Take a minute to figure it out. I'd love for you to come up with your own answer choices. This is sagittal shoulder, right? I'm gonna let Lindsay come up with some different questions. It could be giving you motion, it could be asking you to observe motion. I'll let you kind of come up with some different ways of asking questions.
I guess since this picture has two, did we show the computer? I don't even remember.
No, thank you. That's why I need an assistant.
In this picture, we have two pictures of the lady. So, if it were me, I would just choose a question. I would choose, you know, let me just do both ways. From left to right and then to right. So, let's do from left to right. We'll start with that. I guess in every
And
picture.
pause it, analyze, and then come back where Lindsay's going over it.
What is gravity trying to do? What are the weights trying to do? They're trying to pull her arms down. They're trying to extend her arms back, down. So if they are trying to extend her shoulders, then we need shoulder flexors.
And guys, if you don't know the difference between shoulder flexion and shoulder extension, you can see why this would be extra tough. I mean, that's why we spend so much time on motion. Because if we can't even see the motion right, internal, external flexion, extension, it doesn't even give you a chance.
Okay. All right. So now that we know that, we can go from left to right. Let's do left to right for this one. Okay. So if we're going from left to right, she is flexing her shoulders.
Sure.
She's flexing her shoulders, and since these two match, that means it is a concentric contraction. Centric. So now Dr. Campbell can even just give you the answer, and you have to figure out how you got the answer. So what if he said, eccentric contraction? What if he said, like,
we can do that.
Yeah, what motion happens when she
100%
has
that
an
could be a
eccentric?
question.
Yeah. So, well, I'm gonna write down what's given, okay, and then now I have to figure out what's the body front motion.
Yeah.
So if I know that it is eccentric, it's not gonna match. It's not gonna be the same. So if I see that this is shoulder flexors, we need shoulder flexors. Then we're gonna need the opposite.
Yeah.
We're gonna need shoulder extension.
Observe extension.
Yes.
Does that make sense? It's a 3-variable equation. And if you have any 2 variables, you have a third. It literally is that simple. Good variation of the question. So in other words, if I say, without even context, if I say, hey guys, if the shoulder flexors are working eccentrically, what motion must be happening? You should be able to answer that with no pictures. If the shoulder flexors are working eccentrically, you have to have extension. If my elbow flexors are working eccentrically, I have to have extension. If my elbow extensors are working eccentrically, I have to have flexion because it's math. That's how things at pull work. So left to right, concentric of flexors, right to left, eccentric of flexors. Right picture, if she holds it, isometric of flexors, same muscles. What we are trying to get you guys to see, and I think y'all all see it, y'all are my regulars, and I don't know who my regulars are for the videos because obviously I can't see who watches and when. But the biggest takeaway is that students are going to want to, their instinct is going to want to say, the same muscles that brought you up aren't. Some students may say your anterior deltoid and other muscles brought you up and your lats brought you down. In fact, there's this little, I call it an old man circuit. And they have this exercise where they go across and then they bring their arms up, and he calls it a lat movement. So we have to be cognizant, if I'm using that fancy word that Delcom people don't usually use, we have to be cognizant of the attraction to want to say muscles with specific motions. And we need to not say flexors flexed me and extensors extended. That's the key. The same muscles that brought you up are letting you down. Now, can you have muscles yank you down? Absolutely, if there's a reason to do so. And I don't think having dumbbells in your arms is a reason to yank your arms down. Make sense? All right, let's do another one. First of all, any questions, follow-up feedback? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be essence. Yeah. You're flipping them. That's okay. Do you see it now? Yeah. Awesome. Concentric is the muscles shortening while they're doing a job, right? So the only thing that can shorten when I'm here and make my arm go down are the downward pullers. You already have gravity trying to pull you down. So your upward pullers are going to shorten to make you come up and then be lengthened to let you go down. And this is weird. This is why we spend so much time on it, because I know you guys have been introduced to concentric, eccentric, isometric, but you've never had it explained to you. You've never had it applied to you. And guys, I'm telling you, in the real world, that is so important for rehabilitation, for exercise, for strength and conditioning, for CrossFit. Understanding muscles, motion, and contraction, that third variable is so important. Let's do this one. It's not have to type in them words because that's what this who knows. I don't like to say that. All right, let's have some fun. Right, so establish the picture, pause it, take a picture of it, and then we'll go to the front and assess it. Guys, the reason I'm asking this open-ended, because I want you to start practicing asking yourself questions that you know I'm going to ask. Agonist, external forces, agonist, specific specific contractions for specific motions. Left to right, what would it be? Right to left, what would it be? If I work eccentrically, this agonist in this picture, what motion would I see? What picture would I see if I'm working? All of those things we just did. I want you to be able to do that because that'll be great practice. Teaching you how to practice. Practice in our free throws. I'm going to give Lindsay 5 minutes of time for herself so that she can go over the questions without my intimidating shadow working over for her internship. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go get some call in a little bit.
Okay. So, let's do the forces first. That's step one. What is the force trying to do? Do you guys want to answer the force trying to do from left to right? Flex elbows. Great. Good. And as we already know, we're gonna do both of these, because most of the time I'll ask. Maybe, I don't know. So, we're gonna do it right here too, because the forces are never gonna change if it's the same picture. Because gravity just doesn't switch up on you. So that means that the agonist is gonna be the same on both sides as well. So if the force is trying to flex your elbows, that means you're gonna be elbow extensors. Can you guys see this okay? Like, is it? Okay. Good. Okay. And now, okay, let's do the contraction one first. What body joint motion would we have if we had concentric contraction? I'm sure when y'all answer this question, y'all filled out the whole thing or did it however you like it. So all you have to do is just put in what you already have, anyway. So we have concentric contraction, and we have elbow extensors. So if it's concentric, it's the same, and that means we're gonna observe elbow extension. Easy. Everybody got that one? Yeah, I think y'all are good. Those are easy though. And yeah, so if I told you we're gonna do the motion from right to left, and I told y'all that it was gonna be elbow flexion, whichever you wanna say, then that means that these are opposite and this is eccentric. Really, really easy. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. You guys have an exercise that you have in your head that you're like, okay, well, what would we answer to this? Like, if y'all go to the gym and stuff, any exercises? I can look up another one. I just don't know. I don't. Yeah. Hmm. Well, okay, so pelvic girdle is that is because of something. Like you're not gonna have pelvic girdle rotation by itself. You're gonna have it because of the trunk. So if you want to do pelvic girdle, you're gonna have to either be your hips will be trunk. So you're never gonna have like pelvic girdle rotators or something like that. I mean, I guess you could, but it would be more hips and trunks because that's where your muscles are. Your pelvis is just the bone. So we can do some good stuff. Or we did the trunk one already. Hey, look, I don't know. I'm not coming up with stuff on why. Let's see here. Oh. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I don't
Don't imagine.
I feel like you definitely make the long route.
Oh, heck yeah. I don't know. I'm looking what my son's calling it, anyway.
But yeah, I think that they're doing good. I think that everyone is just enjoying the practice.
Absolutely. So remember, guys, these practices that we're doing today are like the 75th percentile of muscles influence motion you could track, where agonists or opposite direction of external forces. On Monday, we'll do practice of those exceptions. When there is no external force, concentric speeds up, eccentric slows down. And every now and then, the rarest form is when you need muscles that pull in the same direction as external forces. And when they're working concentrically, you gotta go fast. And when they're working eccentrically, they're slowing you down. What speeds up must slow down. Yeah, I think this is a good one. So let's analyze some hips. Like that. Guys, this is why we're doing process. Sometimes you're going to have these movements that have a lot of things going on. It's overwhelming. And so I need my students to take a deep breath and say, no problem. Let's just start at one joint. And you just go joint by joint by joint by joint. So when I say let's start at the hips, I'm not disrespecting other things that might be on or working isometric. Just I want to have a hip conversation first. That's all. It's not disrespecting other things. It's respecting the one we want to have a conversation with first. Who plans on taking biomechanics in the fall? Good. It's good. It'll stay fresh in your mind because we're just continuing on from it. I will say utilize some of the old lectures, or not old lectures, but utilize your lectures from this semester. They're on my YouTube channel, so you know to get a refresher. Practice the language at work. Practice the language when you're exercising. Practice the language. How do I get better at speaking French? Speak French.
Start with force. So what is, if it's kind of hard for you to identify like what external forces, anyways. Think about the hardest part of the exercise. Where is the hardest part of the exercise? Especially like if there's two pictures and everything. Where is the hardest part of the exercise and what is gravity not helping with? What is it trying to do? So in this case, gravity is trying to flex your hips. Yeah. Okay, and since gravity's trying to flex my hips, I need agonists. I need muscles that will extend my hips. I need hip extenders. Okay, and now.
And guys, this is why I like this, and it's so minute. If grounding gravity is trying to flex my hips, I need muscles that are trying to extend my hips. Right? I love that little nuance. Gravity's trying to flex me, I need muscles that are trying to extend me.
Yeah. And now we can do top to bottom, where he is having hip extension. So he's having hip extension, and he's matched. That is concentric. Cool deal. I keep on doing the same thing. It's always concentric and then eccentric.
But it may not be on the test.
No.
The test might start at the bottom and go bottom to top. On the test, we might say, hey, what's happening during hip flexion?
Yeah, so if we did bottom and top, sorry, I'm just gonna write it short. And we did bottom top, we're gonna have hip flexion. That means that it's gonna be an eccentric contract. Both ways. So whenever you do this, like if you got this question on the test, you're gonna have to fill out this whole thing. I mean, unless he's asking you the body joint motion or the joint motion, whatever. But he's not gonna do that. That's test 2. So yeah, I say
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing every time.
Because you have scratch paper.
I will say that it does take a little bit. on my-
But that's why you can practice. Because the more you practice it, the more efficient you get. All right, guys, one more. I want to make sure I try to get I think we might have done one of these before. But this is one I see students miss consistently. So, and remember, when we say external forces, ground and gravity. Because gravity is pulling down, but the ground is pushing up. And so you got to think of it. A shortcut, like I always say, is just imagine if you just turned off all your muscles, what would happen to you? And that's kind of the hint of what ground and gravity is trying to do. So let's analyze the agonist at the trunk. And hey, what do you know? For this one, let's go top to bottom. Pause it, analyze, and then we'll go back to Lindsay to solve. Leaning on my left arm, then if I was leaning on my right, yes or no? Yes, so why in the world would I just say please? Why in the world would I just say Lord? In other words, why would I same name to things that I know aren't the same? So that's what this class starts as an introduction to. Be specific. We can't just play fast and loose with the core. I'm working the core on my left and I'm working the core on my right. That'd be like saying I'm working arm for a curl and I'm working arm for a you want to be specific there. So it's no different. All right, let's run out of time.
So what is gravity trying to do? Gravity is trying to right laterally bend my trunk.
Gravity trying to bend you is correct. Imagine if you turned off all your muscle. You fall down, the right shoulder would be totally right there.
Okay, and so that means we need left lateral bending.
Yep. When you do a plank, like a regular plank, don't you feel your tongue muscles, the ones on the bottom? If you're on your left arm, you're going to feel the muscles on the bottom.
And if we're doing top to bottom, we are observing right lateral bending. Okay, and then since they don't match, because this is left and this is right, and then there's going to be an eccentric contraction.
Yep.
And since you know this, you can figure out the concentric contraction as well. So
the left laterals let you go down, and those same muscles made you come up. How we feeling? More confident? Good? Good job, Liz. Thanks for your help. Y'all have a good weekend, everybody.